Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? Well, we like professional wrestling too, at least for now. Shake them ropes. I'm Jeff Hawkins. I'm in the bubble. He's Chris Novembrino. He's not in the bubble. He's very, very lucky.
I
Especially
play guitar.
oh, do you?
Yeah.
Never heard that before.
You haven't? Oh, well, we'll
Oh,
talk about it later. We'll
okay.
talk. Yeah, no, I love
Huh.
music.
Oh,
No,
really?
there's so many. Yeah, it's great.
No, I saw that you were doing like Duran Duran this week, which was interesting because I kind of intersected into things I did later this week. They have a new
Andy Taylor, I think, is one of the more underappreciated guitarists of the
Oh,
1980s.
I will not trash the Taylor brothers because of my love of the Power Station, which
Power
was
Station's a very solid album as well,
which
and he
was
does a lot of really cool
they
stuff
actually
on
have
there.
2 albums. They have
Yes.
one that came out in '95, which shocked me because like about 10 years ago, wait, they did another album? Because the Power Station was originally supposed to be like a Chic Robert Palmer collaboration, and Edwards and Rogers basically said, "Yeah, you know who's marketable though? The Taylor brothers over at Duran Duran." So they, the guitar and the bass, and then I was listening to the bass line from Rio, and it's bass line from Rio is so
It's
solid.
unreal. It's unreal. No, I've been listening to a lot of them recently, particularly like their live stuff. They were an unbelievably good live band,
They have a
circa
new album
81,
coming out next
82.
month, and there's 2 tracks available on Apple Music. The title track, Dance Macabre, does nothing for me, but there's one called, I think it's called Black Moonlight or Dark Moonlight, and it fits right into 1984. And I say that with the highest regard for 1984 Duran Duran, or thereabouts. It
Yeah,
sounds straight from the 80s. And it was produced that way. You can hear it, but it still sounds pretty
there
good.
has been talk about doing some sort of like biography, biopic. And Duran, I think that would be fascinating because them and the Police are two sort of defining bands of that early 1980s sound, and they're like really interesting compare and contrast. Like the Police were like in their mid 30s when they did their 5 year run from 77 to like 83, and the guys in Duran Duran were like all in their early 20s. Like by the time they took the break in 85, between like 80 and 85, when they were more or less ruling the world, New Year's Eve on MTV, they're playing. They are
Right
the
through
band.
Arcadia. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 right. Yeah, no, 82 going into 83, they are the band that is playing on New Year's Eve. Like they
Yes.
are top of the world, and they're playing at an unbelievably high level. Young, and also had a 5 year run where they just like cranked out hit after hit after hit after hit. They basically put out a greatest hits album in 5 years of like legitimate hits,
Oh yeah.
and those first couple of albums, particularly their debut album, which has Girls on Film on it, and all the deep cuts on there, they're really cool.
Mhm.
I love Rio as well. Yeah, and
Oh
you're
no,
right.
and I will defend the Power Station project until my dying day. The thing that didn't make them hot was the fact that Robert Palmer didn't want to play live with them, so they got Michael DeBar to
Right,
fill
right.
in.
Who played Murdoch on MacGyver back in the day too.
Oh, did oh that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, he was an actor.
he's MacGyver's arch nemesis,
Yeah,
in a recurring role.
because
Uh,
they were on an episode of Miami Vice. It's like, yeah, guest star of the Power Station. I'm like, great, because I love Tony Thompson. I love the. Wait, who the hell's that?
the other thing I'll say is John Taylor actually has videos on YouTube breaking down how he wrote and like playing and how he wrote every single bass line for Duran Duran, for any musician or especially any bassist who's interested in getting some quality free knowledge on the internet. Google that, because his bass lessons for everything from Rio, you can see him break down how he's playing Rio with all the syncopation with the drum machine and everything. It's quality stuff if
Yeah.
you're into that level of process.
So to get now to the to wrestling social media, dominated this week by 2 things. The second one we'll actually get to talk about a little, but the first, which I was teasing you with, how many people were actually at All In and the turnstile counts, and badgering low-level British government officials for official counts of the number of people who came through the turnstiles for I think it was like Ratings to Go, or I can't remember the name of the website, when they signed off and said we're no longer doing daily ratings and we'll miss all of you except for professional wrestling fans. This is what they meant, because who cares? Who, well, they want to be the biggest drawing professional wrestling event of all time. This is crap that WWE and AEW tribalists are doing to try and disprove it. It was successful. Live with it. Both of you.
So with Turnstile-gate, I feel like there are things that I need to understand here. They're claiming 80,000, right?
I think it was like 76 something
Right, right.
officially.
So what are the numbers truthers saying the
I
actual totals
Dude,
were?
I did not get that deep into it. All I know is I think Brandon Thurston was counting actual seats in sections at some point to run. I'm just like, this is I didn't care, Chris. I just didn't
No,
care.
have we retrieved the security footage and actually started doing a true clicker census?
Look, we need retinal scans of
Yeah,
everybody who went through to make sure nobody went through twice.
I'll be honest. I until I know the names of everyone who attended that show, I don't actually believe anyone attended the show.
I'll get a manifest of all the people who
Yeah, no,
showed
I
on
want
that
that. I want
night.
that. Prove that you were there.
The other talking point is our main story. Jade Cargill, officially with WWE, reported to the Performance Center. Got a little bit of a tete-a-tete myself with a member of Voices of Wrestling family, one Suit Williams. I love Suit. Went and saw a show with him in New Orleans during actually I ended up sitting next to him. I didn't go with him. I sat next to him, but we talked a bit. I liked him, but he was like this was his statement. It's like, it's and I'm paraphrasing because he actually deleted his Twitter to go to Blue Sky, which I'm kind of sad about, but that's not my fault. It was just he didn't want to be on the platform anymore. But it's like Jade Cargill had reached her ceiling in AEW because that fan base cares more about work rate than anything else. And I said, no. It's not like the women are, knocking it out of the park in terms of work rate on AEW, and they only get one segment, probably for that reason, or because Tony doesn't know how to book women or what have you. But wrestling, there's this weird thing, Chris, and I understand that the fan bases are slightly different, but they're not completely different in terms of the two companies that are out there and what people like in professional wrestling. People like attractions in professional wrestling. Now, the reason for the attraction could be because they're great workers and they put on good matches, or it could be because they're 6'9" and they kill people like Sid, or because they can talk and they get pops. I just, to me, it was just they didn't want to beat anybody to Jade, who was possibly a good match worker that wasn't in a squash. And so she's now going to be in WWE. She's going to make money, but there's a lot of copium going on amongst the AEW fan base. How this is actually, oh, she's better off there anyways. We didn't need her in AEW type of a thing. And I can't get aboard that. But, it's one of those things where it's like, Jade gave an interview where she's like, she's very focused on her career. She wants to be big, and she knows that she has a very limited window to do it now that she's in her 30s to use wrestling as a stepping stone to get to something else. And, more power to it. And the funny thing is, all the wrestlers in both companies, very happy for her. Hey, go get paid, go get your money, whatever. It's the fan bases that are really arguing the merits or demerits of whether or not Jade was misused in AEW. It's dummies like us who talk about it all the time.
Well, the first part of the sentence that Jade Cargill had hit her ceiling in AEW, I feel is certifiably correct, but not for any of the predicate in the sentence. Like the premise is fine, but everything that comes after it, I think, is where the flaws kick in. They gave her an aspirational title reign, a Goldberg mini streak. They fed her pretty much everyone who wasn't Britt Baker. Didn't she even beat Tony Storm, right? She beat, did she? I don't remember. But she beat a lot of people. She beat Statlander. Remember that?
I know she beat Ruby Riot or Ruby Soho, I think.
Yeah, she beat Ruby Soho at one point. I mean, they fed her basically everything. She did hit her ceiling. That is because there is a clear ceiling to how much return you can get out of the women's division in AEW, be it from booking patterns, uncompelling characters, inconsistent work, and
Fan
kind of
reaction.
fan reaction, and yeah, like fans constantly turning her back and forth.
Ratings.
Yeah, you there is a clear limit to what you can get out of the women's division in that company.
Yeah.
That's a broader debate, and that's an inward looking debate. That's irrelevant of Jade Cargill. Cargill is a fact, is just a representation of that, but um they don't really, they don't know how to consistently make the women's division intriguing.
Yeah.
They don't have strong anchors to the division. And Cargill in her presentation was being flipped heel to face kind of willy-nilly. And that's a recurring problem on this show, is that you've got characters who are getting Lex Lugered. They get turned back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah. Sammy Guevara, good example of that. Chris
Yeah,
Jericho,
Sammy. Yeah, totally. Like,
yeah, it's all over the place a little bit, but no, but she's there. I mean, they seem happy with her. It's been intimated that there's main event creative or main roster creative already being built there. So I don't know how long she's going to be on NXT right now, but yeah, good on her. The only other story I have in terms of news type news, Heels on Stars canceled after completion of the second season, which my joke was, I can't wait for CM Punk to write the entire third season of Heels, because he was involved in that show, and so was his wife. I did you ever get to see an episode of this? It was on Star, so I doubt you might have. Okay.
no.
It's actually pretty good. Mike O'Malley, the comedian from Yes Dear. You ever saw that? Nickelodeon.
I was gonna say he's the host of Nickelodeon's Guts. If you're talking to me.
Oh yeah. He was the showrunner.
Nice
for that, and it wasn't a bad show. The problem was it was a complete anachronism to what they were trying to do, because if they had set it in actual small town Southern America in 1980 or 85, it might have worked, but they're setting in present day small town. And so there's a bit of a disconnect there where they're trying to do territory type stuff where just territory type stuff won't work, but it's dead. It's gone. May it rest in peace. That's it for the news, because I mean, ratings were kind of what they are. Raw down because of Monday Night Football. NXT kind of around its same highs, around, I guess it was around 670, I think. Dynamite did pretty good. Top segment was the talking segment between MJF and Switchblade Jay White.
Yeah.
Which, sorry, I had something caught my throat there. Which we'll go into in a little bit, but yeah, for that, and Collision actually had a pretty good number against Saturday Night Football. Big game between Ohio State and Notre Dame, and I think they did over 500,000 for it, maybe almost 600. So, good number for them. Yeah. But a lot of lazy river today of wrestling criticism, wherever we watch, wherever we saw. We have two events to get into, two pre-shows, one today, hailing from Bakersfield, California, meth capital of the world. NXT.
Have you ever walked the streets of Bakersfield?
Yeah, a little Buck Owens with the Bakersfield sound. Come on. NXT No Mercy. 7 match card thus far, in case anything else gets added to the pre-show. But we'll start with that first, since it's chronologically there. Pre-show, Blair Davenport versus Kaylani Jordan, which is an interesting match. Chris did not watch the Go Home show, so I'm going to probably be filling him in. They did have a bit of a beat down here with Blair backstage to kind of set this up, and then they later announced that this match would be indeed on the pre-show. I still think Blair has a lot of cachet in the upper stratosphere of the women's championship run, especially if if someone needs to take it off of Becky Lynch at some point, although that might be Jade Cargill, who knows. But I think Kaylani Jordan's going to get a hell of a lot of offense in here, too. It's going to be one of those things where Kaylani Jordan looks good for losing, but I think Blair Davenport wins this one.
Yeah, so Blair's probably going to be a transitional champion, would be my suspicion, because I think they're going to want to present Cargill as a face initially.
Well, she's not going to be the champion just yet. I was just saying
No,
that
no,
she
no, no.
might take
I'm
it
so
from Becky
no,
Lynch.
no. Yeah, right. She takes it from Becky Lynch, and then Jade beats Blair.
Okay.
Yeah, like rather than beating Becky right out the gate, you beat Blair in sort of a surprising upset sort of thing.
Oh, I see. I think if Jade's going to do any NXT shows, and I think she's going to be in the audience for Bakersfield tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
She's going to be the
surprise.
yeah, that
camera
surprise
established.
guest
Yeah,
type
right.
thing.
Yeah.
You keep the title on Becky, and then you have Jade beat her as a holy crap moment type of thing. I think that's something you do. But Blair is, I mean, she's not my favorite in the world, but she's solid still. So it's one of those things. But and Kaylani Jordan, for a as we like to say, for a gymnast who hasn't been doing this that long, it's quite good.
Yeah.
I could also see them giving
better
her
than
the win.
Julia Hart.
Oh yeah, Kaylani Jordan over Julia Hart. Every day of the week.
Yeah,
she's not better. She's not better than Stratton, but she's better than Julia Hart.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I think she is better than Julia Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Julia Hart's also mostly cheerleading and tumbling more than gymnastics, I think.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, so there's 6 matches, which is a lot for an NXT takeover. So we might go a little long here on Saturday night on the Peacock Network. But we will start with Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin in a singles match. They did the entire Family Guy versus chicken fighting all night type thing on the go home. I'm kind of here for this as a Hoss match, Hoss fight. Braun Breaker's getting this win. I don't think there's any way that Baron Corbin gets it for heat. I think they continue the Braun Breaker destruction tour.
Yeah, no, I kind of like this because this is sort of like a heel versus heel Hoss match. And like Breaker's not really a face in any meaningful way.
No, he's just 2 jerks who have met
just refuses to align himself with Baron Corbin because he hates Baron Corbin. I love it. I think this won't be very long, but I do think this will be like pretty intense for the length of time that it goes on.
I would love for Corbin and Breaker to be a team after this, or to be a unit at least.
That'd be interesting.
Going up against, say, Trick and Carmelo.
Potentially, but I actually kind of would like it if they just keep hating each other. Like this is
okay.
Like,
no, they on that too.
Yeah, these guys just need to always hate. Heels can hate other heels.
Yes,
like which also opens.
And
up the door.
Should.
Yeah, it opens up the door for the occasional unlikely, uneasy alliance between a heel and a face, where like you've established pretty clearly, like Breaker hates Baron Corbin, but can like Carmelo Hayes really trust Braun Breaker, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and they've kind of done this in NXT well at times, like when you had Black and Gold versus 2.0, and, so, and all of a sudden heel LA Knight is teaming with the rest of NXT, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever, that kind of thing. They do those uneasy alliances well in NXT better than almost anywhere. So I dig it. In a fatal 4-way for the NXT Tag Team Championship, the family, Tony D'Angelo and Stax Lorenzo versus OTM, Lucian Price and Bronco Nima with Scripps versus the Creed brothers, Brutus Creed and Julius Creed versus Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. They did a skit all throughout the Go Home show where it was a sit down between Tony and the participants of this 4-way in terms of who would be the thing. And the Creed brothers are just dumb jocks, so they were fantastic. Tony D'Angelo and his character work is fantastic. The standing out like a sore thumb here are Lucian Price and Bronco Nima, who the company really likes because they're big. Carrillo and Garza, back burner yet again, even though they tried to build them up with this whole Hector Garza storyline. They're now the red shirts in this feud, and they'll probably be taking them. But the Creed brothers interplay about dinner at home with mom is some of the funniest stuff in these sketches. And D'Angelo and Lorenzo have some weird, from an acting perspective, weird but great chemistry together, where it's like they've totally bought into this gimmick at times in terms of being mafiosos and stuff. Uh, this match is going to be a lot of set pieces. And look, the family of the Creed brothers are going to be great. Creo and Garza with the Creed brothers are going to be great. OTM again, being the greenest of everybody in this match, are going to be your wild cards, and they're just going to be setting them up, I think, for like Tower of Doom spots to do and things like that. But I have the family coming out with the tag team titles.
Yeah, no, D'Angelo and Lorenzo retain, in my opinion. There's still a lot of. It's been fun in recent weeks watching them do interactions with these other tag teams. Like they are. It's weird. I can't.
Like I said, yeah, it's weird.
It's
they're
weird.
great,
It's hard to put. I don't know what the word is to really describe what it is they're doing.
because it's not exactly great, vignettes or anything to that effect. They're nothing memorable. I mean, look, the AEW fan, oh, you like that dinner theater stuff? Well, it's still entertaining for what it is. It's character work, and they're at least trying. But I can't put my finger on what exactly makes this click.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Like, in a lot of the parts of like the D'Angelo Lorenzo dynamic make no sense at all if you really go beat for beat. But they've risen above shaky material is sort of how I feel about it.
In a British Round Rules match for the NXT Heritage Cup, the winner of your tournament, Butch, who will be seconded by Tyler Bate, which was done on social media so that he could offset the
metaphor
appearance. Well, I was trying to think of the word, the presence of the metaphor. Yes, Noam Dar and the Mercury Radio Theater Company of Oro Mensa, Lash Legend, and Shakara Jackson, who have been doing theme dress ups every week during this thing. I don't see the point of having Tyler Bate there unless it's just to take out Mensa in a high spot, because I don't think they're going to turn him heel. Because I think there's going to be more of an angle stuff later in another match. But Noam Dar versus Butch, and I think Noam Dar goes over because I don't think the main roster wants to be saddled with yet another NXT title.
It's interesting to be like, does want to get back to being more Pete Dunne and less Butch? Because then that's the situation where I could see him becoming the rounds champion for a minute.
I think that answer is no, because it was a move when Triple H was in charge to bring Butch back to being Pete Dunne, and now Vince is kind of back.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening. For the NXT North American Championship, all right, here was one that happened on TV. We were originally going to have a three-way between Dragon Lee, Tyler Bate, and I want to say A-Kid, but I can't remember the third who was in this match. It was either A-Kid or Nathan Frazier. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but because Mustafa Ali is no longer with the company, they needed a replacement for the NXT North American Championship. Trick Williams does a match early in the night, goes to Shawn Michaels, gets entered into this triple threat match, becomes a fatal four-way, and Trick Williams wins it in a pretty entertaining match. Dirty Dominic Mysterio versus Trick Williams. Dragon Lee, who was involved in that triple threat, is now the special guest referee. Now, to me, they put Trick Williams in this match so that Dominic Mysterio would lose. I know they've been kind of hinting at Dom trying to recruit Trick Williams for the Judgment Day. It's possible that Trick Williams loses here and it becomes Trick and Carmelo versus Dominic and another member like JD McDonough doing tag matches to build up, Judgment Day versus that. And eventually that's where Trick turns on Carmelo because
I think you're missing Chekhov's gun here. I think Dominic has put the worm in the ear of Dragon Lee.
Of Dragon Lee as well? Okay.
Yeah, like essentially, trying to do this dad, blah, blah, blah. Like all of the, we've never seen him interact with Dragon Lee. We've seen him interact with all these other people. And like, I think the twist is going to be that he's also had the similar type of conversation with Dragon Lee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I can buy that. It would be an interesting way to introduce Dragon Lee up on the main roster, but it was weird because I was thinking Dragon Lee would be introduced as Rey Mysterio's second once Santos and the rest of the LWO turn on him, but they
They didn't do that.
they didn't do that on SmackDown. So because I mean, we can talk about that a little bit when we get further in the Lazy River, but that was an interesting way to get out of that program with
It was.
the Street Profits, which it looks like they're going to double down on that heel turn, which is also interesting. But back to NXT. For the NXT Women's Championship Extreme Rules match, Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton. And Chris, I'm here to tell you, I am here for this match. Tiffany Stratton is tough. Tiffany Stratton in that ladder match on Mania weekend at that at like 10:30 in the morning at Staples Center / Crypto, did a dive off the ladder where people were supposed to catch her and they didn't catch her. Straight to the mat. I think she is game. I think Becky Lynch is game. I think there's going to be chairs and table spots galore. I think there's going to be beatings aplenty, but I think Becky Lynch is still going to be winning this.
Yeah, I know this is the quintessential match to make Tiffy look good and tough. Like, wouldn't be surprised if she gets a little busted open during this match, but no, I think Becky goes over.
I'm hoping for like hot pink kendo sticks from Tiffy though.
Right, you know, I mean, straight up, like there is an opportunity to get very memorable images of her with like a hot pink kendo stick or like, you know, like a hardcore weapon, but she's also actually legitimately like bloodied up a little bit, like.
Yeah.
Bloody Barbie. Like,
I know they don't want to do blading anymore in WWE.
I
but
know.
Man, I would make Tiffany Stratton bleed a little bit here.
Man, I know. Bloody tough Barbie. I'm kind of yeah.
And that would also push her towards being a babyface.
Yeah, I would.
The same way Becky Lynch getting punched in the nose.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope they're thinking about that. I don't know if they are, and it's too late for them to get wind of this because the show will have started by the time this comes out. But yeah, if I'm them, I'm going. Let's get the girly girl millionaires daddy's girl thing, Tiffany Stratton, but let's give her an edge to her in this Becky Lynch and scare the crap out of Becky Lynch that she might lose. But yeah, I'm hoping for a great presentation from Tiffany Stratton here. And then for the NXT title, Carmelo Hayes, your champion, versus Ilya Dragunov. God, this is gonna be a banger. Ilya is on such a run right now. If he's not going to the main roster right after this show, they gotta belt him. Because there are two options here for me in my thinking. Either you belt Ilya Dragunov as the NXT champion, or you bring him up for Walter or Gunther on the main roster to take away the Intercontinental title. It has to be one of those two things to me.
Yeah, I mean, he is on such a tear right now. I know they're really into Carmel, but I'd actually do the belt Ilya, move him into a true tweener status where like he's just like an elite Bockwinkel. I'd have him be the champion for like a year and a half, like go on an incredible tear as the NXT champion,
and even going up to the main roster and beating some guys up there.
Yeah, I'd want it to basically be known that like this guy's like a true imminent threat. Like he's wrestling at such a high level right now. You absolutely can put the back of a promotion on, or you know, put the promotion on his back and run with him. The red contacts, the goofy over gesticulations, all that stuff has been traded out for just like this Shibata level of stiffness. Like yeah, not you know that level, but like everything he does looks crisp. The cells look really great. The offense looks really great. He's just so enjoyable to watch right now.
The Vladimir Lenin facial hair is making it for him too. Like yeah. No, he look. I mean, he's just he is a welcome presence on this show, as opposed to some guy that we used to laugh at every time he came out and go, "What is he doing right now?" Because I mean, that's how we used to act when he was on NXT UK. It's like, look, the kid's tough. He does great chops. He gets the crap beat out of him. But this whole weird cyborg red contact lens thing, it's like, okay, they've him in the dark suit just being a professional and being angry all the time. It's pretty great.
Yeah, and then also the change in his offense. You know, we're not doing like the in the corner, countdown to me doing my big move thing. It's just a brutal forearm.
Yeah.
It's just a brutal, destructive, out of nowhere, kills you forearm.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes it look like it should.
Yeah, so I think that card is going to over deliver. I think that's going to be a fun watch if you decide to watch tonight or sometime over the weekend.
Yeah.
But you do have another option on Sunday. WrestleDream, AEW, doing a pay-per-view, an Antonio Inoki tribute show, or out of Seattle, Washington. Keep Seattle, Washington in mind when you're making the winners and losers here, because it's going to be interesting because there's three North Pacific Northwest talents on here in big matches. And I think two of them have to lose, but we'll see. Terrible name for a pay-per-view. The usual AEW. I mean, a lot of it's, here's the weird thing is a lot of it's going to be built tonight on Collision, which I don't like as usual. And we'll get into that when we get into what I think the main event's going to be, because it is a dream match, but boy, it doesn't feel like a dream match in terms of how AEW has treated it. They've just kind of put it on paper and said, yes, people will love this match. So we'll get into that in a bit, but 12 matches, Chris, including 2 on a pre-show, starting with the Acclaimed Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, along with Billy Gunn, your AEW World Trios Championship, defending against the Mighty Don't Kneel, TMDK of Mikey Nichols, Bad Dude Tito, and the artist formerly known as Slapjack, Shane Hayes.
It's hard to bet against Slapjack. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, it's easy to bet against Slapjack.
No. Look at the wins and losses in WWE and tell me you're going to bet against this man. The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for the Acclaimed. I think it's very clear. Slapjack is going over.
You know what? That's what they should change their name from, the TMDK to TNDL. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah. No, I think the Acclaimed retain here.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
And then the other match, Luchasaurus versus Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne's winning this. There's no way they beat Nick Wayne in Seattle against Luchasaurus, who no longer has a title to worry about. I'm fine with them having Nick, because I think Nick Wayne plays a part later in the show. But
yeah,
do you think Luchasaurus beats Nick Wayne here?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Thank God, because I don't have to talk about it anymore. In a match set up on Wednesday's Dynamite, Ricky Starks versus Wheeler Yuta, because the Blackpool Combat Club are now baby faces.
Right. All of them.
Yes.
All of them. That was so lickety split. And I mean, I think Starks wins. I think Starks is getting turned babyface again.
Oh, I don't think he's getting turned babyface. I think they're going to solidify his heel stats, but I just don't see Wheeler Yuta winning this.
No, I don't see Wheeler winning this, but
and especially
it almost kind of felt
the loss in the Texas Death Match. You have to build him back up again, I think.
Right, but it almost feels like he's being turned slowly.
Oh, do you? You think he's favorite again?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh God.
Lex Luger syndrome throughout this entire company.
Lord. Oh, he's getting some cheers. We better turn him babyface quickly.
Yep. The fans like him.
Oh, God. 4-way tag match for a future AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, who wrestled single on Dynamite, versus the Guns, Austin and Colton. The Lucha Brothers, Ray and Penta. Oh, God. That Colton Gunn Penta, cat dancing thing, that was an instant turn off for me. But and Orange Cassidy and Hook. Who do you have?
Orange Cassidy and Hook, but I don't feel strong about it.
I got the Guns.
The Guns?
I think they're putting them back up against FTR on Collision.
Okay.
I mean, we can wait for a little more Lazy Riverdom if you want. Talking about Dynamite, but
yeah.
Boy, that 4-way was sports entertainment, everybody.
I just can't get into that format of match from this company. It always leaves me ice cold.
Yes, same here. It's set pieces, and none of the set pieces really lead to anything. In a singles match for AEW TBS Championship, Chris Statlander defending against Julia Hart with Brody King.
Julia Hart's winning this.
Wow. You're not the only one who said that to me.
No, I think they're really in on Julia Hart right now. I think Hart's winning it.
I can't get there. I think
she has magic powers, Jeff.
Just like the one-winged dove sings a song, just like she's singing.
Yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah. I can't get there because I think I think the big spot here is Statlander doing some offense on Brody King, but she eventually wins.
See, I think that she does that, and then Julia Hart hits her with the hex, and
like Danhausen.
Yeah, yeah, and then Statlander's like like holding her throat. You ever seen
Black Mist? Are we getting Black Mist with Chris Statlander?
Are you familiar with the movie Star Wars? There's a character named Darth Vader. He's like the antagonist in that movie. No. Okay, so like he has this like kind of grippy thing that he does from a distance.
Okay.
I think she does something like that.
A grippy thing, you say?
Yeah, with her mind.
Well, they don't misbook that by getting into family dynamics and stuff.
No, the AEW fans like this stuff. So I mean, they'll be right into it.
Chris Statlander. You know what? Willow getting affected by the Black Mist and coming down and turning on Chris Statlander.
Maybe Willow comes out with a twisted evil eye. Like her eye is now sinister.
She has a symbiote like Spider-Man and Venom growing inside of her.
So Dax from Star Trek had that too.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like that's a very common thing that happens, and let's go.
Eddie Kingston versus Katsuyori Shibata for the ROH World Championship and the New Japan Strong Open Weight Championship. And I think Shibata has the Pure Championship. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. If he wins, he gets all 3 titles. But if Kingston wins, he just hangs on to his.
Oh, is that how it is?
Okay. I think that's the way the match is set up.
Eddie Kingston gets to do his All Japan fantasy camp match here. I can't see Shibata beating Kingston right now.
No, if I remember the rules right, like Shibata can lose and not lose the title. So like this is very much Kingston beats Shibata.
Yeah. Would have liked to have seen a promo for that too. Christian Cage, you're now officially your AEW TNT champion after that 3-way versus Darby Allin in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW TNT championship. Hey, this match is going to over deliver. Who do you got winning it though?
I think Christian somehow finds a way to win this.
I think he finds a way to win because I think Nick Wayne's joining him. I think Nick Wayne's going to screw Darby Allin. And then we're going to say, man, that was a great match until the finish.
Yeah, but I mean, Christian is always entertaining. The story right now is a little lowest common denominator, and like, especially when it's like, bring this dead person, bring that dead person, blah, blah, But I kind of liked where the promo went on Dynamite.
Oh, yeah. No, the promo was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, Christian finally got under Darby's skin. And Christian is also getting, I think, the most dialogically you possibly can get out of Darby Allin, because he's not the best promo and he's not the best engager. And Christian is able to sort of like tease out the better performances from him.
He's a believable troll in trolling Darby Allin. And there are some rumblings because Edge's contract, I believe, is up tonight. Don't quote me on that either, but he was once again removed from the SmackDown internal roster / alumni whatever thing. So there are rumors that Edge may be appearing at some time during this show. Who knows? That could be part of it. Seeing Edge as Christian's sidekick would be something. Because everybody would want him to be pushed as a megastar. Maybe Edge is just going to come in here and do a solid for his boy and be second banana like Christian was to him in WWE.
I mean, that would actually be a really fun, different, novel presentation rather than I mean, the mistake in some cases is trying to bring these guys in and have them do exactly what they were doing
Yeah.
in WWE continuation. That's a very TNA sort of approach. I think that like having Edge come in, evil, very much listening to Christian, and like like it's
He could
not
be
like
as Festus. He could just come in as like a dumb guy who doesn't know it. He could be a different Luchasaurus. He should be like a smaller dinosaur.
Edge has amnesia, cannot remember who he is, and
Yeah.
Christian's taking advantage of it.
Once he left the WWE universe, his mind was wiped when he appeared on planet Earth. So
I don't know what I've been doing. This happens all the time when you go into WWE. You don't know what you've been doing for the last 5. Why wouldn't that happen when you leave it?
yeah, yeah. MJF versus the Righteous in a handicap match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. I'll kind of defend that Righteous vignette because I saw the entire thing on social media before they gave us the edited version. I thought it was really well done. The problem is there's two problems with it. Number one, it comes off as kind of a third-rate Wyatt family type of vignette. I did like the cleverness of uh, the paper chain with the devil and the other guy, and one's a liar and one's a fake. The other problem is this should have been intertwined with highlights of the Righteous being just absolute ass kickers because nobody's seen the Righteous on actual AEW Dynamite. They've been on Rampage, I think they've been on Collision, but nobody's seen that. So I think it should have been a vignette with kind of an old school feel of highlights of them doing matches where they're destroying guys. Um, but you have MJF in a handicap match. I have a theory on how this is going to end, but I will go to you first.
Yeah, I agree with you. The Righteous for me, I like I get what they were doing with that promo. I didn't realize it was edited down, but I was able to follow the story there, and
Yeah,
I mean, I like the idea that like they do see through these two.
yeah,
Yeah, I think ultimately they're going to be right, or at least if I was writing this, these guys are bad guys and they're villains, but they're actually right about both of them.
right.
Yeah, that would be what I would do, but I also would have had I'd have them be more menacing, right? Like, okay, you have this four-way match with all these teams. Feed the Lucha Brothers to the Righteous, please. Like, feed some of these goober teams or these lesser teams who've already gotten their like run to the Righteous. Have the Righteous attack the Acclaimed. I actually would have made that kind of a through on the last couple of weeks that these guys have been attacking every single tag team. And so MJF saying, I'm going to fight these guys by myself. Like you're like, why would you do this? This is suicide. Um, as to the outcome of the match, I feel like the Righteous have to win. I don't think MJF is able to retain here.
I do, and
Really?
I'll tell you how. At the end of Dynamite, we saw four kind of smallish guys in the devil outfits, much like the firm were beating up Jay White. I am of the opinion that that was Adam Cole, because Adam Cole was the guy in the devil outfit. I believe. I think the cast is a fake. I'm on that team. I think he sprained his ankle pretty bad. I don't think he broke his ankle, and I think Dave and Brian are getting worked here. I do think it's going to be like a Kevin Nash type situation eventually where he's in the cast and then he reveals the blanket and he's fine and he has two legs. But my opinion was those guys were the Kingdom, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Adam Cole. That's who my opinion was. And I think what's going to happen is this is going to be the fake out where they think that the demons are with MJF. And MJF and one of the demons is going to double clothesline Vincent or Dutch, and MJF's going to get the pin, and everybody's going to wink, wink, nudge, nudge, know that that's Adam Cole under the mask. But for now, and that's why they're aligned with MJF for now until they turn on MJF. But that's how I think they get through that.
Interesting. Um, I have a really the MJF storyline is so strange. I mean, I could just as easily of the MJF, Adam Cole, and all those guys were in cahoots all along. Like that. There's another way of watching that.
I could see that being, I could see that being
yeah. It
MJF,
was
Adam Cole, and the Kingdom, and Roddy.
and Roddy. Yeah, though they've all been in cahoots this whole time. Yeah,
that'd be interesting too. I'm here for that.
I think it's actually more narratively satisfying.
I've seen some theories where one of the people there was Britt Baker under one of the masks, so that would have been interesting too, I think. Yeah, we'll see. We'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to MJF and Jay White. Talking after we get through this card, which is 80 matches long. FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood versus Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Now, go ahead. Sorry.
I think FTR wins. I didn't. They did their go home promo with Aussie Open. It's like the same one that I feel like we get all the time, which is like, you haven't ever really shown us your stuff, but you better show us your stuff. And if you don't show us your stuff, then you might as well stuff it, because you need to show up with your stuff.
I'm going to back up. I've convinced myself, just thinking about this right now, that Aussie Open wins this. And I'll tell you why in a second. I think the Young Bucks win the 4-way tag match now, because Aussie Open has now lost in a goofy way to MJF and Adam Cole. They lost to Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. They need a win. And I could see this being that backward ass thinking of, well, we'll just hotshot the titles onto them and now they'll be credible again. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And I also think that Cash Wheeler may be in line for a little bit of a punishment for the whole gun charge thing.
Yeah.
So I think Aussie Open is winning this, and they're going to get a super match against the Bucks to kind of reestablish their credibility. So I'm going to go with Aussie Open here.
Okay. All right. I'm with you then.
Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland in a match that I can't figure out who's going to win right now. Because Swerve Strickland's in his home territory of Seattle, sort of. He's been in Defy for years and been the Defy championship. And Hangman Adam Page needs the win more than anything.
And they really prioritized this match in terms of that Dynamite.
Yes.
This match has got a lot of weight, narratively speaking. Second only to, I mean, the MJF segment's like two different matches. Doing the sit-down contract signing with Page and Strickland.
What do you think of that promo, by the way? The Adam Page promo, which is basically alluding to CM Punk.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch it.
Okay.
I watched Strickland's part, but like, I'm not super dialed into that program. Like, I'll
give you the clip notes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Page has said that there's been a dark cloud hanging around him for the last year, and he hasn't been himself because of it. It's mostly alluding to Punk, but not doing Punk. But I thought at the end of this, Page was going to pull out a bottle of Jack Daniels, chug it, and go, I'm back, because, get him back drinking and he's going to be a badass again. But no, he's still kind of in his feels. So I think that might also explain. I think Swerve's winning this.
I think Swerve's winning this too. The fact that it got focused, I did catch the part where it's like, I'm in Seattle, you can't beat me in Seattle. They're like the 12th man or whatever. He kind of seems like he needs the win more. It seems like this match is meant to be get Seattle feeling Seattled,
Well, but the next match is is the main event. That's Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. And of course, that's also Bryan Danielson's territory. And we're already having Darby Allin lose, and that's Darby's home territory as well.
We are having Darby lose, so then you have Strickland win, you have Danielson win.
Yeah, Danielson win. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, because that's where I was going for too. Because I think we'll get to that. The main event, the dream match of the two men who have captured Wrestling Observer's best technical wrestler of the year for, I think, like the last 10 years running between the two of them. This match is so disappointing to me right now, because this is a match that, for me and for my predilections, you do vignettes and promos where they are cutting promos on each other for a few weeks after you announce this. You bring up the Wrestling Observer Awards here. You bring up how big of a match this is because Zack Sabre Jr. doesn't work for AEW. You bring up all these things that build this match, and I am here for it. You bring up Zack Sabre Jr. saying, I'm going to break your arm, I'm going to break your leg, I'm going to put you in a stretch hold and leave you there for 30 minutes
This is
while
where
you're crying.
this is where remote video packages would do so much. You have Zack Sabre Jr. like do a match, like an exhibition match from his training facility where he just like torments a guy for 5 minutes until he finally makes him tap out. You
Yeah.
have like little Zack Sabre Jr. matches every week. And like they're basically being sent to Danielson, but they're being aired on AEW television. But you do these things to show like this guy is a sadist. He is as into the technical stuff as anything, but right now he's in a twisted mindset and he wants to hurt
And you
people
do
and stretch them out.
Yeah, and you do Bryan Danielson at the Blackpool Combat Club reintroducing himself to that sadistic side, which we
Yeah.
had at the beginning of this thing. And then I am stoked. I am paying money for this match. And instead, what I'm getting is, well, on paper, it's going to be a very good technical wrestling match. I'm like, I like both, and I think they're both very good wrestlers, but I think this could have been quote unquote a money match. And
This could have been so fun. Yes.
yeah, I just that's the thing that's missing from it is the fun of this being a dream match. Instead, we're getting Zack Sabre Jr. on commentary calling Danielson a wanker tonight, probably in an 8-man tag match.
I would have Zack Sabre Jr. do an expo match where he breaks every one of the guy's 10 fingers methodically throughout the match and then pins him.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
But he pulls him up at 2 the first time.
Yeah. Oh no, right. No, you still have fingers left. He
Yes.
says it right in the middle of the match. I'm not done with you yet.
Yeah.
No, this is where this company for me misses the mark. It's not who you get, it's how you're presenting them. You're not telling these stories. You got Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. and you backburnered this shit.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
No, and it's like, well, he's just a one shot, and Bryan, and he doesn't work for who cares? It's one of those mystery, like the example I gave is when the Road Warriors turned on Dusty and they were still the 6-man champions, and they announced that the Road Warriors had gone to Japan and found a partner in Tenru. I didn't know who the hell Tenru was. I had never seen Tenru before, but they started showing like I think they showed a video package of him with the Road Warriors, and like I want to see this Tenru guy. Never really got to see that Tenru guy until he did that one shot in WWF, I believe. But like I was there, man. I was like, yeah, I want to see this mystery guy who I haven't ever seen in NWA television be a part of this crew with the Road Warriors because Dusty and the Road Warriors were so good. And it's like, yes, build on that sense of mystery for those of us who don't watch Zack Sabre Jr. in New Japan but know who he is from other things. Do that. And
You're telling me just yelling at a potential fan you should know already isn't actually good booking?
It's the potential for a good match. And that's where it's like, that's where message board Tony is looking at the message boards going, this should be instead of going, what can we do with this world that we're building that's fun and expanded and use all the tropes of professional wrestling to make this fun and exciting for everybody watching TV? And that's what I want. I want them to use the TV product to then push me to buying a pay-per-view, which is $60, which I may not have in this economy, that kind of thing, but also most of AEW fans probably steal this thing anyway. So they don't care about that money stuff. They just know, oh, look, it's on the docket. We'll watch it. Great. And I mean, they almost got there with Paige and Strickland and it was close and it was a noble effort. And they kind of got there with Christian and Darby. So you can't say that the build was completely bad like it was the last pay-per-view where it was just like a week and then they put everything together. It's been decent.
Yes. No, in particular. Well, and it's been imbalanced. It's like I agree. In particular, I think Darby and Christian, they've done a really nice job telling that story. Like that story is complicated. You have the betrayal of Luchasaurus. Actually, I think the Nick Wayne versus Luchasaurus match will be the final discard of Luchasaurus too. Christian will basically say like, Luchasaurus, you lost to Nick Wayne, you lost the title, you're a failure to me, and discard Luchasaurus.
And brings in Edge as his new dinosaur.
That would be hilarious. Yeah.
I'm here for that.
Here's Babysaurus and it's Edge, and he only speaks in growls. Growl! Growl!
Oh, now it's gonna be a disappointment if it's anything else.
I am dinosaur. Edge, like, but like in a grunt.
On, give it to me. Give me what I want. I want that because Edge is already a big dude. He's like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Put him in the mask. Let's
Yeah.
see him go. Actually, he's the one who can also take out Luchasaurus eventually. He could be like in like a blue one, and
oh my God, that's Edgeosaurus.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Marco Stunt can come out with him.
They make a dark version of the Jurassic Express.
Yes.
With Edge, Edge and Nick Wayne's like the
Jungle Boy of it.
Yeah, he can be Jungle Boy. That's great. That's
I have a new Jungle Boy. He can dress up Nick Wayne as a Jungle Boy. It'll be like the old Midnight Express versus the new Midnight Express. Except Dennis Condrey won't walk on the last day. So that does it for our previews. Lazy River probably gonna be shorter than usual, but that's okay. We went long on the 2 previews. Do you mind if I start on this one?
Where are we going?
Because you know what I want to start with.
Okay.
MJF and Jay White.
That's where I was going to start too, so we might as well.
I will let you go first then, because I've already talked about this on Wednesday on my other show. So I'll get into my nitpicking stuff after that. But you go first then.
MJF has this style of promo, which does not build intrigue for a match nearly as much as it manages to completely demolish the opponent he's going up against credibility. The problem with so much of what he said about Jay White, and like this might be the defense for it, is it's kind of like what a lot of people, including myself, feel is the truth about this guy. That like he is surrounded by a lot of stuff, but when you start shearing all that stuff away, MJF is kind of right. The guy's not that interesting. I don't think so. And it doesn't make me more interested in the match to see him do it, especially since he's the heel. He's not overcoming anything. I'm not rooting for this guy to overcome anything. The Bullet Club are heels. The Bullet Club Gold are like a watered down version of the Bullet Club. Like this is like the 4th or 5th Xerox of this faction at this point. And I'm not excited to see Jay White prove that the Bullet Club is, still really cool 15 years later. I don't care. And MJF is kind of right. The guy is just surrounded by this stuff. Are we going to double turn Jay White and MJF? And if you did, would that be interesting? I mean, maybe the answer to both those questions at the same time, maybe and not really at the same time. I think they might consider, trying to turn Jay White, make him a face type figure. Why? And that's the other part of this, right? MJF has been their scumbag. That's been the whole. We've been laying so much rail down in that direction that when he shreds down Jay White, like, okay, I mean, you're right. I'm not rooting for Jay White to redeem himself here, and then Jay White doesn't really get the upper hand on MJF in any meaningful way. That's the other part of this is MJF is getting these scathing heel promos, and then while as a babyface. And the person he's up against, his adversary, has very limited narrative options to take this. Shoot on MJF, brother, I guess, but that's not really that interesting. And like, I don't know what they think when they think about this stuff, or they just go, let's go out there and see what happens. And if they keep doing, at some point after you do that, you got to stop and like watch one of these back and go like, did that work? My answer is no.
I am with you on that, but for a slightly different reason. I think when this was set out, number one, I don't like these types of promos to begin with. I don't like one guy standing in the ring watching another guy cut another guy to shreds and not doing anything or reacting or anything. I hate those. And then the other guy gets a turn. But I think when this was being plotted out, it's like, okay, MJF's good with his mouth. Jay White has been entertaining the past few weeks with his mouth and his promos on Collision. Let's just let the two of them feel it out. And what you got was MJF burying not the wrestler Jay White, but the character Jay White, and also the actor playing the character Jay White, which is fine if you're in 2001 whatever WWE, and it's The Rock cutting promos on the Hurricane, which is supposed to be a goofy character, and calling him the Hamburglar and whatever, and burying that character because, of course, the Hurricane's not supposed to be on The Rock's level. And then when the Hurricane gets one over on The Rock, it becomes a big, huge deal. When you go out there and it's supposed to be a guy that's supposed to be possibly an ace of your company in Jay White, one of the most decorated gaijins in Japanese wrestling history, and you say he's cutting a mid promo, and then you call him tofu, you call him boring.
And the byproduct of a wrestling promoter's vision of what a success, like that was so meta.
Too.
Yeah, that line
Way
in particular.
Too meta.
Way too meta.
Because
how do you come back from that?
You don't.
Yeah, there's no response to that. Is Jay White supposed to be like say something like, "Well, MJF, you're only here because you throw temper tantrums at Tony Khan whenever you don't get your way, and that's why you're still the champion."
And then that becomes office politics crap.
Yeah.
And then that's not good either. I mean, my theory when I off the top of my head, instead of doing whatever the type of promo Jay White was doing, is going, I'm the Switchblade. You have to go back into your character of who is the Switchblade in AEW. You have to go into it because part of the other truth of this is we don't really know Jay White as a character in AEW in this world and how he interacts with it. So, I mean, my pitch was Jay White should have looked at him and goes, "You like to cut jokes. I'm going to cut your throat." And he should have just basically gone with I'm going to hurt you in this ring and hopefully end your career so that you won't be Mr. Laughing Guy.
He should have silenced MJF right after that. I mean,
MJF
should have still been with a move. No, I think he
not even a move, with a beatdown. With just a pummeling with fists and kicks and punches, and because that's what's been kind of missing in AEW beatdowns to begin with. People just do moves and crap, kind of like WWE. Instead,
no. But he needed to completely overwhelm MJF rather than like MJF chasing him out of the ring. That was another problem with this. Jay White's not supposed to be winning this title and shouldn't, and there's won't right. So then Jay White needs to absolutely get under MJF's skin. This really should be going the other way. Jay White should be the one talking to him about fake friends, that you're fake, that all this is all basically really getting into MJF's head. They don't really like you. You're their scumbag, but they still all think you're a scumbag. You don't have anyone's respect. It doesn't matter how much money you have, all the stuff. You're still just this scared little boy who was whimpering when he was getting bullied and having the quarters thrown at him. That should be Jay White should be putting MJF on his heels, the character MJF on his heels. And instead, you get MJF going after the act of Jay White in a way that no one could defend nor retort from. And most importantly, if both these guys equally tore each other down, you're not more interested in a title match between these two guys at the end of that sequence. You're less, because you think less of both the characters.
And you especially think less of the opponent, and you think there's no chance he's going to win this match. I mean, it's one of those things where I was trying to think of a corollary for my old fandom, and I'm thinking, the character choices of Dusty and Flair are easy ones. But Ric Flair never came out and said, "You know what, Dusty, you actually go home to a large house and have lots of money."
Yeah, you do this fake evangelist of the poor thing, but you actually go home.
Your voice is phony too, because you put on this black voice that you think will connect you with blue collar people and stuff like that. It's that kind of thing where it's like you don't deconstruct the character. You deconstruct the wrestler type of a thing, and you basically keep it to, how am I going to fight you in the ring? I'm going to beat you in the ring because you're not better than I am in the ring. It's not you can kind of cut the promo a little bit, but you don't say it's a mid promo. You don't come out and go, "Man, you suck on promo." First thing out of the gate in a main event feud.
Yeah, why are we even talking right now? Because you're not very good at this. Boy, I can't wait to see more of this. I hope it goes on longer.
I can. You know what this is actually? This is actually Ric Flair bearing Bam Bam Bigelow when he comes into the NWA and saying, "Oh, yeah, you're not in that place where they dress you up in costumes anymore. No wonder you had to leave there. Now you're here with the big boys." And nobody likes a fat guy or a fat girl. It's like that. So I was like, oh my God, they're killing him on here because Bigelow had a bit of an attitude problem coming into the NWA, admittedly, but it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, you're mid promo and you're boring. Come back from that, genius.
I mean,
while he's in the ring, while he's standing there in front of
to go
him.
back to the Dusty example, I'm I'm just thinking more about this. Like, if you actually did Dusty, you say you're a man of the people, but really you're a fake evangelist. Which one is it? Are you the man of the people, or are you Virgil Runnels, the television producer who produces this TV show that I watch every week?
And you're giving me the time cue right now behind the camera. Hey, how's
it going? Like, God, like, if someone did this, Dusty, like, you would be like seeing red and just jump from off screen and tackle, knowing that like you were absolutely 100% killing the Dusty Rhodes gimmick.
Yes.
Like, yeah, this is the problem, and yeah, like, I know Jay White's not going to win. Wouldn't care if he did. Wouldn't be like excited to watch a Jay White title run off of this, and MJF just keeps doing this.
I actually think the Bullet Club Gold is doing some pretty good work on social media in terms of trying to get themselves over as a franchise, even though they're a little goofy.
Oh yeah,
taste.
Oh yeah, they're pretty. They're a Xerox copy of the Bullet Club to me, but I mean, they try. They try.
They're a BC.
They're the NW. They're the NWO B team. Come on.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are the NWO B team, absolutely. Except for Jay White. I mean, it's the Guns and Goofy Juice Robinson, and I love me some Goofy Juice Robinson. I love the unrepentant stupidity of him. But at the end, they're carrying around a cardboard cutout of Jay White. The cardboard cutout of Jay White is more over than Jay White right now after that promo.
Right, and like also like, what main event act has a cardboard? The cardboard cutout so mid card.
Yes.
Like, it's so mid card, and like him coming out there and joking about Card Blade and stuff too. I mean, that was the other problem. Is like Jay White is going up against an MJF who's like kind of like half in character, and he's having to do like the full in character. Like, isn't it hilarious that I have a cardboard cutout of myself thing?
It's that whimsical wrestling stuff that we were talking about last week, and now they're doing it for the main event acts too. It's. Yeah, I watched this and I couldn't believe people were saying this was good. People were telling me, well, Jeff, it was good that MJF buried the heel because the heel has to show ass on that thing. I was like, dude, that wasn't a burial. That was a ritual killing by MJF.
Also, no, the heel, if they're not going to lose, does not need to be showing ass in this promo. It's like, I do not view that as a foregone conclusion. I think that's actually very wrong. If anything, it should seem like now that the like Adam Cole is sidelined, like MJF has no friends, that the Bullet Club Gold are a legitimate threat. The Bullet Club Gold guys should have won. It should look like that they're white hot going into this pay-per-view. That Jay White's going to get the title. Like that there's a bit of a build of momentum for them.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, and Jay White has to figure something out while that's happening. And he came back with I found his side of the promo goofy. He's kind of, it was the thing where it's like, I need to get over on my charisma right now. And so he's kind of playing it up a little bit about the, oh, I'm going to take your big gold belt, that kind of thing, as opposed to really being menacing. He was also kind of being playful. I'm like, no, Jay, now's not the time to be playful.
People want to hear my exotic voice, like the whole like I'm this exotic dreamboat crap. I'm like, Jace, no, that ain't you, bro. That ain't you. Yeah, that ain't working. I wouldn't do that.
He's not sex symbol from Australia. He's not Mel Gibson in 1982. No. Yeah, I just your turn on the Lazy River.
I mean, that was a big one for me for sure. All right, let's talk a little bit of collision here. I know we already talked about this in the build-up. I thought that they did a nice job with Luchasaurus, Darby Allin, and Christian in that match. I knew where it was going, but I liked it. Even right down to the little beat where Luchasaurus holds the title for one moment, because like I think longer term that's going to build stuff up. Um, okay, here's one I'll talk about, and this actually gets back to the MJF thing. I in building Jay White, they used Andrade El Idolo, and like I'm not hot on him right now either. So this is a tough sell for me going into this Dynamite promo, because I know that Jay White and El Idolo had a good match there. I was not able to sink my teeth into it at all because I don't care about either character.
Yeah. I think he's going to end up with LIJ again, or whatever they're calling themselves in here. It was weird because it was also vicious, like him getting hit with the plaque or whatever by Juice Robinson is a bold, strong, injure the guy type of move. But at the same time, I'm with you. I can't get behind it all that much.
Yeah, Andrade's just he wasn't like a hella sympathetic baby face or anything.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
That's also
no.
weird.
Right. It's like we're building up Jay White, Mondo heel, against a guy who he's a good wrestler. Okay, but like, yeah, like he's a good wrestler is essentially the narrative argument for like why is this happening on my screen right now? That's just like not enough for me. I need to make a little bit more sense than that.
Gonna move to SmackDown for a quick hit. I have a lot of people in my mentions screaming about the treatment of Bayley. I love me some Aunt Pam. You all know me. I love me some Aunt Pam. Love me some Asuka. Love me the horsewomen. Everybody like that. This is what she is right now, and she's getting taken care of, according to what I know. She's getting taken care of monetarily to be the goofy gateway heel to EO. I get that she's not getting pushed to the moon. I get that Charlotte is once again getting pushed to the moon. Relax. She's making bank. Is her legacy going to be what it could be because she's not always going to be super champion Bayley? No, it's not going to be. But they're taking care of her. They're putting her on TV. They're giving her stuff to do. It's not like they're putting her out there and she's losing in 10 seconds to a returning Tegan Knox, who thank God she's back on, and they decided to right that wrong. I enjoyed that little story on Raw this week, but it's one of those things where it's like she is there to play second fiddle to EO, and it's kind of been hurting EO a little bit more than anything because EO is just there kind of looking. Her makeup is such that she's always looked like she's ready to cry at all times. It's a little disturbing at times, but I mean, she's just there to like shrug her shoulders and go, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And and when they should have been splitting this act a while ago, but they didn't because Dakota got hurt. It's one of those things where I'm just like, I understand people's frustrations that Bayley, who is the top bell-to-bell worker in the women's division, in my opinion, in that company, isn't getting what she wants, and Charlotte's getting pushed to another title match. But at the same time, it's like one of those things where it's like you can't always be the star of the division. And if you're getting pushed, at least you're still on TV.
Yeah, look, people can be upset about Charlotte getting pushed yet again because Charlotte's Charlotte, and it is what it is every time with her. But you're right. It can't always be Bayley. This has never been. I mean, this has never been a company that's fully 100% bought into Bayley, but like they bought into her and Damage Control a lot more than like, especially with some of the writing, was necessarily justified for a minute. Like this act hung around a lot longer than it had any business to because it was getting murdered for 6 weeks straight as heels. Fairly early on in its inception, they just weren't beating anybody. So yeah. I mean, she's doing all right, and like, I think I think I have no problem with them staying in a company and doing stuff for the money. As long as they're getting paid, get paid.
Yeah. Your turn.
Let me see. Danielson and Ricky Starks. I know we already talked about this a little bit. I thought that this match was really strong.
I really like this match.
I really like this match a lot. Yeah. Which is also part of the reason why I think like it felt like the beginning of turning Ricky Stark's face. Like, he looks so tough in defeat here.
Yeah, he's holding on for dear life, trying not to go out as he's being choked to death by Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, and like the way
And
if he was
blood's
gonna
coming out of his mouth and stuff. That was a
if
great
you're gonna
visual.
if you're gonna stay heel, like what's supposed to happen in a Texas death match is when they're finally caught by the baby face, they have fear. In their time of dying, so to say, they experience fear and cowardice. And Starks didn't experience that. He experienced like resolve and I will, fight until my last breath. And I
Yeah.
don't know if that's AEW booking where everybody's got to look strong, brother, or if that is the beginning of Starks getting turned.
No, I had a lot of fun watching this match.
But broadly speaking, yeah, I liked it. Uh,
I would not have done this match yet. I would have done it on a pay-per-view. I understand they need the collision stuff for like ratings and stuff, but they can't book two programs at once because they don't know how to concentrate on it. And this was a time if you're not gonna put this on the pay-per-view to be using that time to build Zack Sabre Jr. and Danielson.
I know that I mean their vision of building that was having this like mini feud between Starks and Danielson. I don't.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
very.
it's a strange build idea.
For my last one, I'm gonna go into the criticism that AEW Dynamite was too much talking. Incorrect. I understand for the live crowd might not have been much in terms of that because they got some decent matches. But to me, the weekly television is about build. And it's not that there's too much talking, it's that there's the wrong type of talking, which we went over through with MJF and Ricky Starks. Christian and Darby, I thought was good type of talking. And then right in the middle, in terms of the vignettes, was this visit in Japan by Takeshita and Don Callis to a dojo where Ibushi is. And this was right in the middle of not really good, but also not horrible either. I this whole promo thing was very, very odd because much like we moved Adam Cole and Roddy Strong off to the side to then get to Jay White in the same promo segment. We also had this beatdown to then get to Sammy Guevara cutting a promo on Jericho. And I think that this is like 2 weeks worth of stuff in one vignette. And this beatdown at the dojo should have happened a couple weeks ago and probably should have involved all of the Don Callis family beating on recruits and whatnot. This was not Dusty at Techwood Studios. This was almost a little bit too goofy as a beatdown. Putting a guy in like a chokehold and hitting him with a kettlebell and there being no blood. It almost bordered on a WWE style beatdown where you're just kind of like, okay, kind of goofy, but kind of effective at the same time. Whereas if you had done a beating with a little bit more of an edge, then Kenny can come back being angry to absolve or not absolve, to have revenge for Ibushi and his trainees and be willing to, slap hands with Chris Jericho and go, let's go kill these guys. And then it's a fight. And then you're kind of cool with everything. You're like, oh man, I can't wait for these two things to get in there. And it's two forces going. And instead, it's just kind of like, oh yeah. And then Kenny will come back and just go, he'll be there to partner with Ibushi this time. Hooray. I get it, but it's still one of those things where it's like, oh, I think I forgot that match on WrestleDream, by the way.
Yeah.
The 6-man. Sorry about that. Who do you think wins? Because I think Don Callis' family has to.
I think Don Callis' family has to as well.
Yeah.
All right. The Sammy Guevara promo is another one of these AEW style of promos where you're like, did that help? Was that helping? A lot of words were said. A lot of meta was metaed, but did that help? I mean, also, like, how many times are we going to turn Sammy Guevara? Like, how many different directions? I'll say it before, I'll say it again. It's Lex Luger syndrome all across this show.
Yeah.
And like every time it seems like they've like found an interesting formulation of some of these guys, whether it's Starks or Guevara, whoever, it doesn't seem to stick. In the case of Starks and Guevara, Jericho seems to be an inflection point for both of them. So Guevara's promo, we've talked about it before. Guevara's not really the heel here, especially if you've actually been paying attention to the storyline. Guevara like just turned on Jericho when Jericho, for the umpteenth time, like sort of like made him feel like the little minion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have anything else on my list.
Let me. Is there anything on SmackDown that?
I mean, for matches, there were good things. I mean, I'll just two on Raw that I'd point out. The Bronson Reed Otis was good for what it was in terms of a Hoss match, WWE style, and also Ciampa versus Ludwig Kaiser, strong, and of course, Sammy and Kevin Owens versus the Judgment Day was really, really good too. But there wasn't a lot of piece moving. I think we're eventually getting to a War Games match. I think. I don't know if Vince in charge if he wants to do a War Games, but it feels like it's lining up for a War Games. And then SmackDown, you had
LA Knight and John Cena aligning. Yeah.
This was a strong move. I mean,
that is a strong move.
And it's so funny because I go back to that quote. It's like, well, these are fans who appreciate work rate as opposed to those dinner theater fans over there. I go, yeah, you know what? The two of the biggest stars in wrestling right now in both companies are Eddie Kingston and LA Knight, both of whom were doing promos on NWA weekly TV with Ricky Starks as well. And the talking's getting both of those guys over something fierce in the two biggest companies in the world. And you're just like, okay, fine. You go with your purity test here of work rate. I'll go with the stuff that's making crowds want to see people. And you watch that LA Knight beat down, man, that offense is pure of The Rock, where he's pulling the fist all the way back and hitting him, kind of hitting him. It doesn't look like real fists. It looks like, the working dusty fists at times, but Cena gives LA Knight the rub at the end of this tag match. LA Knight's going to be in line to headline against Roman Reigns. So it's going to be fine.
Yeah. And I mean, if Heyman and LA Knight sort of sit down and really work out what the story is, and the story's halfway decent, those two guys are going to be absolute fire on screen with each other. Like that Heyman
and LA Knight is interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that.
I agree. I think there's a lot of intrigue there. I think that builds the intrigue, man. Mm-hmm. It really does. And even that first interaction with Roman Reigns in LA Knight too, because we forget, and we also haven't seen Roman in a minute. Maybe he will have a different personality foible. Maybe all this time away is kind of wrinkled. He's
he's been back there brainstorming character work here.
You never know.
I think it's gonna be the big dog. He's gonna be badass. Yeah. And I think LA Knight's gonna be able to get under his skin.
Yeah, right. I know, it'd be interesting.
He's gonna call him Tofu.
No, but he's gonna. I mean, this could be, he, definitely will clown the heck out of Jimmy Uso for sure. Jim Uso. Yeah. Jim Uso. Sounds like your middle manager.
Along with Drake Hudson. Let's cut it there. You can follow me on the X app at CrapGame13. I do nothing but snark and do arcane references and occasionally movie and music talk. You can follow the show at Shake Them Ropes, also there. I also do a show on Fight Game Network on Wednesdays. About 20 minutes afterwards, you can get the YouTube link and watch it live, or $5 on the Patreon. Listen to it later, called The Dynamite Show. Myself and Paul Ace Fontaine thoroughly deconstruct Wednesday's Dynamite to the point where I kind of look at Chris and go, you better have opinions on this show because I've said them all already, and I'm trying not to repeat myself. But yes, if you like more of me, go over there. If you want more of Chris, he's on the gram at DOCTOR_NOV. He teaches guitar. He's busy on a tram. He's going to be playing gigs. What you got?
Yeah, I got a bajillion gigs coming up here. If you want to see me play, the opportunities are abound here from Saturday, October 7th through Sunday, October 15th. Not both those days, all of those days. The 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. At the Sandia Peak Aerial Tramway, the #1 tramway in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The preferred vendor of mountaintop service.
What's the #2 tram in Albuquerque, Mexico?
It's pretty rough looking, I gotta tell you. Yeah. It not particularly safe. Wouldn't want to ride it. No, come on out to Sandia Peak Aerial Tramway. I will be playing multiple days. The 7th, the 8th, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th will be me solo doing looping stuff and with my band. On the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th, Willie and the Wild Cards, the legendary country and rock, some say the generational talent out of Dallas, Texas, are coming in, and they will be playing 4 days with a special guest, me, during those 4 days. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. We're playing basically from the morning until the evening with breaks in between. Come on out, hang out with us. If you want to catch lunch with me when we go on our lunch break, we will be going down to County Line Barbecue. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want guitar lessons, I'm still doing those too as well. You can find me on Instagram, as Jeff mentioned, DOCTOR, that spells doctor, underscore NOV. That spells Nov.
Yeah,
Doctor underscore Nov.
tip them $20 and request Union of the Snake or the Reflex.
Yeah. Or the chauffeur.